This show here on a Monday morning going to sound an awful lot like the first hour of the Art Lewis Show because we've held over our guest from the Rescue Ministries of Mid Michigan, the executive director, Big Kahuna, director, God, all that. Well, I'll take God out. He is Dan Streeter, good friend.
Thanks so much.
And I want to, it's funny I said that, we'll take God out. Only in your introduction.
Right. Because
it's a big hunk of what you do, isn't it? And why you do it.
It really is. It's a motivation to help share what it is that God has done with us. When if you want to think philosophically for a minute, no one controls the family that they're born into. And it's really initially by the grace of God for the environment that we get to grow up into. And it could have just as easily been that we were born into a different family that struggled with poverty and that is in this situation. And so, first of all, it's by God's providence and His grace that we have the situations that we grow up into and the opportunities.
It's interesting you say that. I was thinking back the other day. For some reason, I got into this mood. And I was thinking back on things I have to be thankful for, and I thank God for. But the one thing I have thanked God for more than anything in my life were the parents that brought me up.
It does. We take it for granted.
Future.
Yeah. And so then, I've spent my life, and my wife and I have spent our lives then trying to help share and give back, to those that have been less fortunate. And I believe that's part of the reason why God gave us that opportunity.
But you have an interesting story, though. You didn't start out working for the Rescue Ministries or Dad.
No, that was about the last thing I wanted to do. Yeah.
That's why I say it's an interesting story. You were a teacher, weren't you?
So went into Christian education. Yep. Graduated. My wife and I met at Pensacola Christian College, and we both graduated from there. And we were very passionate about service, and we weren't sure. We thought youth ministry, and maybe in a Christian education setting or in a summer camping type of program. A lot of doors that were open for us, and we started in a rural Georgia small school, and just was having an absolute blast, and fulfilling what it was that God had called us to do, and enjoying it.
God called you to do that. Dad called you to do something else.
Dad had asked when first coming out of college whether or not I'd be interested in doing so. And, that was one of those things, it just wasn't in the horizon at that point. And then through a series of events, God just totally shifted our directions and sensed a real calling here, but it was a reluctant calling. It wasn't something that Barb and I were super excited about, but we knew this is where we needed to be. And then, as things continued to go over the years, it became just absolutely obvious that was God's hand for us to be involved and to be ministering here.
You say obvious, I say consuming.
Yeah.
Because it consumed you.
It definitely did. And it's so rewarding now, to say, this is how I know that I've gotten old, is that I look back at a career and seeing the affirmation of just how God's hand was on all of that. So that's our hope. That's at the premise of so many of the staff and the volunteers and so many that donate is because they're wanting to share the blessings that they've been given to someone else who hasn't received like that, and to demonstrate God's love and to do for others like what God has done for us. And so that's at the premise. That's at the center of what we try to do, and to create opportunities through God's love to help them get to know Him, and that there is someone that cares in a great way for them.
And since it all takes money, that's what the Summer Match campaign is all about. And just from a personal note, as a giver, because as Dan will tell you, I'm not just talking about it, I participate. If you've never given, here is an ideal opportunity because your money doubles. For the next 2 weeks, whatever you give doubles up to $35,000. Now, if one person wants to give $35,000, that's okay. But if you want to give 30, 40, 50, 10, whatever, that's okay too.
That's also what has been so exciting about the relationship with the station and how over the years the bonding that has taken place. It obviously started very, very early, but to watch it then continue to catch on with the other staff and personalities here. So we don't take that lightly at all. And, the station doesn't charge anything. When you hear some of these things being discussed, this is shows the heart of WSGW and the Moose and KISS and everybody that's around here, is because we're asked here to come in with welcome arms.
I can remember the first year, and I didn't know much about the Rescue Ministries, but I knew it was a good cause, so I would give. And I decided if I were going to give, I was going to be the first one to give. And every year, I managed to do that, and our friend Bill Hewitt, who just passed away, always wanted to be number one. He was always number two.
Yes. As you talk about giving, and that to me is when we know that we have done our job correctly, we've communicated, and people can see the effectiveness, is when they want to continue to give. And I really call it investing. You're really investing in the lives of others in the work that we're able to do. And that investment we take very seriously. And so that's why you could go to a site like a third-party site like Charity Navigator, and you can see how all the dollars that are spent, and they score as to how we do as a nonprofit, and you can compare us with other nonprofits. And so we very intently want to be transparent, and we want donors to know that when they give, it's going for how they intended, and it's staying here locally.
How is the ministry structured? How many boards? I know you've got boards and sub-boards and what have you. How many boards of directors are there within the ministry?
Well, there's just one responsible board of 12 that oversees the entire operation. And then we have a couple advisory groups, that where we have some specializations that are happening. But mainly just one board, and then I have an administrative team that works with me. So like we just went through strategic planning, and so we started first just polling and having time with our staff to hear their interest and what would they like to see, and then we take that up the next level to our admin team, and then sifting through that and getting their ideas and thoughts, and then bringing the board and the admin team together. And so it gives us on the horizon some things that we need to shoot towards, and that we are really passionate about. Part of it is affordable housing, trying to see what we can do. There's so many people in this region that are having to pay $800 to $1,000 for rent on a monthly basis, and that's not the surprising thing. The surprising part is how bad the conditions are of the housing that they're going into. So first of all, there's a lack of it, and then there's a bunch of slumlords, and so the quality of places, we wouldn't want to spend a single night in those places. And so we're passionate about trying to find ways to create housing so that way it's humane, it's sustainable, and it helps for families to be able to get on a stable base.
The summer match going on the next 2 weeks, from today through the next 2 weeks, where your donation will be matched up to $35,000. How do they donate? I keep throwing that back to you.
Yeah, you can call right now, 989-755-HOPE, or you could put a check in the mail, or you could go to rescuemidmichigan.org. And, somebody could just, write a check right now for the entire amount and just call in and say, hey, Art, let's talk about something different.
No, we'll keep talking about it because that's just the beginning. We'll take a break and be back.
It's the Saginaw County Fair, August 4th.
All right, we're back with you, talking to Dan Streeter from the Rescue Ministries of Mid-Michigan. Their summer match campaign starts today. Dan comes in with $35,000 in his pocket, but he can't spend it until you match it. So that's what the summer match campaign is all about. So we talked about Good Samaritan. We talked about City Rescue Ministries. Explain the drop-in center and how this came about and why it's necessary.
So we started to see more of a chronic homeless presence. It was becoming more aware in Bay City. And part of it is the testament of how Bay City has continued to renovate and create a great downtown area. And so those that were homeless, you were seeing them a little bit more. And what I would identify as chronic homeless, those who have experienced homelessness for multiple times, 3 or more times, and it's obvious that it's become more of a habitual pattern in their life. And so that was part of it. City leaders coming to us and saying, hey, what are some possible solutions? And I knew of the Lansing City Rescue Mission had been running a very successful program, similar to what we are calling the Overnight Drop-In Center. And so we took a group down there. We took a look at what they were doing and what was unique about it. And it really creates a no-barrier situation for people to be able to come in. Some that have apprehensions, some have severe mental health or substance abuse issues. That's why they're entrapped into homelessness. And so we started brainstorming with the community. How can we provide these quality services? We renovated about 2,500 square feet of Good Samaritan at the very southern part of the building. And we're able to open up on the coldest night of this past winter in January, middle of January. And it has just taken off. It's taken off more than what I had even imagined. We're seeing faces that had never connected with our emergency shelter services, and so many more people that are vulnerable than what I had even imagined. I thought we might average around 20 people a night, and now we've been consistently at 30 people. And last night, 31 people. And it's people who are been living out in a car, or they have been couch surfing with multiple family and friends, or they've been living in an abandoned home or under a bridge.
So why don't they just come into the rescue ministry?
So part of it is because the mental illness and trying to, that's been part of the brainstorming, is to get services to where people are at. And so the every night aspect of coming into shelter, that wouldn't fit within their present lifestyle. They can't operate in that. And there's also been a barrier of trust, a lack of trust. So if we do these very simple services, non-threatening, you can come in for repeated nights for however long you need, that has been something that has resonated with them. So I can come in for a couple nights, I can do my laundry, I can get a shower, get a meal, and our passion of our staff, it's a total different mentality than even shelter.
Because this room is just one big barrier-free room.
Correct. And we put mats down on the floor.
Right. Are there issues mixing mental health issues with drug abuse issues with other issues?
It's so interesting to watch these social dynamics. There is a trust that they have amongst themselves, and many of them know each other. And if not, there's a bond that starts to develop. And so there aren't as many issues as what you would think. There's more likely that a mentally ill individual is going to have a conflict with somebody in the community, but in the drop-in center, those are very few and far between. There's a mutual respect that is developed in a bonding there. And so it's a very unique dynamic that is allowing us to have great conversations with people as we build trust with them. And like part of our goal is to be able to connect people with mental health services. Part of the challenge right now that any mental health provider would tell you this is people have to self-determine, and so they have to they have to first agree for the assessment, then they have to agree to go to a session, and then they have to then want to continue to take the meds. So what we're trying to do right now is to help knock down those barriers and get a person to attend the first session and then help them to take their meds in between and get to the second session. So we're continuing to brainstorm how we can provide that service and jointly with mental health.
Have you noticed very many transitions from the drop-in center to the regular Good Samaritan?
So this is also part of what's been very intriguing. That wasn't necessarily the primary goal. We're trying to serve people with where they're at and how they're coming in. Over 300 unique faces over 6 months have come into the drop-in center. 300 unique individuals, and about 10% of them have made the jump into emergency shelter. So we are seeing some transitioning as the trust is built, and they start to realize this really is here to help me. And so it's helped some, but still 90% is where we're trying to get the connection to services, to the housing opportunities, and see if we can get them connected. And we're seeing success every day as we get to know this population. We're seeing greater success. But then it also gives us the passion to know that the problem in Saginaw is probably at least twice as bad as what it is in Bay City. And there's more abandoned homes. So we are right now brainstorming and trying to get a drop-in center opened up in Saginaw.
Of course.
That's, well, we referenced this before. You see a need, and you just can't say, "Oh well." You've got to look for a way to help provide a solution and work towards it. So that's what we're presently. Our staff is working towards solutions and plans, and trying to purchase a site so we can open up a drop-in center.
Which is why, as we've said before, the Summer Match program is so important, as is any of the fundraising of the rescue ministries. But the next 2 weeks, you can double your contribution with the Summer Match campaign. And once again, Dan Streeter, how do they give?
Call 989-755-HOPE, 4673, or go to our website, rescuemidmichigan.org, or drop a check in the mail. Any one of those would be accessible. Or if you can come up with another way, we'll figure out a way to make it work.
Actually, it's something you said earlier about dropping off a donation at the mission. If you've never been to either of the missions, you owe it to yourself to take a look, because it will enlighten you. It will also show you where your money's going, but it's pretty impressive.
We work very hard to make sure that it is a safe and it is a secure environment, and it's an environment where people feel that they can build trust and that this place cares for them.
Along those lines, you can't just walk in. You have to ring the bell, right?
You have to, yes, because that is also part of, we're always trying to make sure that we maintain a safety. It's so difficult, the balance between safety but welcoming.
Yeah. All right. Take a quick break and be back. Dan Streeter, our guest, directs the Rescue Ministries of Mid-Michigan. Let me ask how you slept last night, because today we're asked to do more for less. So when you go to bed and you theoretically spend a third of your life there, you need quality sleep, and you can get it with a quality mattress from Sanitary Mattress. Now, you can visit all the so-called sleep stores, or you can rest assured your mattress is manufactured right here in the Great Lakes Bay region to your specifications. Your time in bed may be cut short by today's demanding world, but don't be fooled. You can still get a quality good night's sleep on a Sanitary Mattress. And by the way, they feature 1-hour delivery window of your mattress to your home. If you have an RV or a boat, Sanitary Mattress will custom make a mattress for you, something the box stores can't do. Visit the Sanitary Mattress factory and showroom at 5343 Janes Road in Saginaw, just east of the Harry Brown Airport. Visit them online at sanitarymattress.com or call them at 989-753-1757. Sanitary Mattress, serving the Great Lakes Bay region since 1935. We're back with you, Dan Streeter, the head of the Rescue Ministries of Michigan. is our guest in studio because today is the kickoff of their summer match campaign, and there's $35,000 in the pocket to get matched, and your donations are greatly appreciated. We talked about Samaritan, we talked about the drop-in, we talked about the city. We touched on the youth services a little bit. What's scary about the youth services to me is the demand. That tells me there's a lot more of that going around than we know about.
Yeah, there is. There's a whole another hidden pocket of those that are homeless, and there's so many kids that are so close and they don't even realize it, how vulnerable they are and how close they are to being preyed upon, and life-altering type of events that can happen. And, they build trust, couch surfing, and maybe it stems with someone that they knew in school. And it just opens up the door for all potential of abuse and neglect opportunities. And so that's why we're so passionate on trying to do more on that front to help hopefully provide an opportunity so that kids don't have to be vulnerable and be in those situations.
Boys or girls?
Both. Yeah, it's not. It can be just as easily for either side. I'd reference to you. There's a movie that is out. It was released in 2025. It's called No Address, and it's a very interesting movie, very realistic. You see the perspective of 5 different individuals and the different ways that they come to experience homelessness. And you see the cross-section of so many different ways. Very well done movie, very realistic. And so it's out on a lot of the streaming services right now. So you could see it very affordably, but it had some good performers in it. William Baldwin, Ashante, and so a chance for you to be able to see it firsthand. And it even addresses the youth homelessness, and you can see how that becomes a gateway to homelessness.
And when you say realistic, I mean, if I watch that movie, am I going to get a fair idea of what it's like to be homeless and what happens?
You really are. It's from 5 different lifestyles and different ways entry into becoming homelessness. And it's like, what we've said, there is no one singular. And it's no respecter of age, no respecter of gender. Any and everybody can experience homelessness.
One thing we haven't talked about, impact design. Tell us about it, what it is, and how it came about.
We came to realize that many of the individuals who came through our programs and services, and we would work with them for a couple months with life skills and to help build the stable base, and they'd have this great success point of moving into their apartment. And we'd help them as much as we could, but they didn't have everything they need. And so what would happen is that they'd move into this new place, and it would almost be a little depressing because the accommodations that they were getting at the mission were better than what they were moving into. And so what caused us to look at it is that we had about a 50% success rate, which was a good number, that people would stay stably housed, but we knew we needed to do more. And so we got together, we brainstormed, and we said we need to become more deliberate at that point. And so that's when we built the 5,000 square foot warehouse so we could accept donated furnishings and all the items needed to be able to help people get stably housed. And so now our guests sign on to the Impact program, which means on their side they're going to invest the time towards life change and attend the classes, and then the reward for them when they get to the point of getting their own apartment is that then we fully stage their new apartment for them, so that the linens and the cleaning supplies and the beds and everything that they could possibly need are then provided for by our Impact Designs team. And the fun part of it is that they sit down with them, they interview them, what's your likes, what colors, dislikes, all that kind of stuff. And then our design team goes into the warehouse and they start pulling out the items. They go into the new apartment and they measure it and they clean it and they prep it, and then they do a whole big move-in day. They put the wall hangings on the wall. Everything. They fill the pantry. They even ask them, your first night in your home, your new home, what would be the meal that you would like? And so then we make sure that we get that meal. It's in the refrigerator waiting for them. Their pantry's filled. And then we do a big reveal, like what you used to see on ABC Home Makeover.
Yeah.
Move that
Move the
bus.
bus.
Yes. And every time there's tears and excitement. And if you go to our Facebook page, Rescue Ministries Facebook page, you can see a couple videos as well as pictures of the before and after, and it'll just blow you away. And some of you will even see the furnishings that you donated are then in the moves. Mm-hmm. And then we do follow-up visits once a month. How is your budget going? What struggles have you run into? And because we've built that trust, it now helps sustain them, and they're engaging, and we've seen the success rate is now 91%.
Summer match going on, contributing. You can do that how?
Go to rescuemidmichigan.org, call 989-755-4673, or drop a check in the mail. Any one of those would work. We just ask that you help provide for your neighbor in need. This is a difficult month for us, and we'd ask that you, the numbers are great. Over 260 people needed our services last night, and you're helping to provide that care immediately for your neighbor.
One more segment coming up with Dan Streeter here on WSGW.
Gotta go.
Hi, we're back with you, and Dan Streeter with us. He is the executive in charge of the Rescue Ministries of Mid-Michigan, both the City Rescue Mission, Good Samaritan Rescue Mission, and all of the other services surrounding it. What happened? We talked about, what was the relationship? There was a building on the east side of Saginaw where they're building beds in there, and they're doing all kinds of things in there.
Yeah, so we have a fun partnership, and that's part of, our passions is building meaningful partnerships to help strengthen the safety net. And so we were gifted a building on Holland Avenue, and we renovated that, raised the funds, renovated it, so that way we could help provide services, education, material goods to where people are at in needs, with the hope that they wouldn't have to experience homelessness if we can help them where they're at. And so then we became aware of Sleep in Heavenly Peace and the Auburn chapter, and loved what they were doing for so many years. And so we tried
By the way, they built bunk beds for youngsters.
Beds for kids who are sleeping on the floor. And so we couldn't convince them to come in, but they said, you know what, we'll help you in starting a chapter. And so I'm a volunteer for that. That's one of my volunteer gigs, is to help build beds and deliver beds for kids that are in need. So now the Saginaw chapter is housed in our higher purpose building, and we don't charge them any rent. And it's just become such a dynamic, fun relationship, practical, and has allowed us to even have a better pulse on what need is as you're going into these homes with where kids are struggling.
All right, we've talked about money in the summer match campaign. What we haven't talked about are volunteers.
So we have one of my favorite experiences here in Saginaw growing up was the Memorial Cup. And I volunteered personally within the Memorial Cup. And what I loved is that they had an online volunteer portal. And so I said, well, we've got to do that similar thing. So now if you go to our website, you can see all the volunteer opportunities. You can register online for it. You can sign on for it. So if you want to serve a meal, bam, you sign on for that shift right there. If you want to help with an Impact Designs move. So all the different ways that you can help out are right there online. Something else today that's starting out is we're opening up the reservations for our gala that is going to be at Horizons Conference Center on Tuesday the 29th. So you can get your ticket for
29th of September.
September, yes. And so...
and who's the guest speaker?
some guy obscure, Craig Goslin. I don't know if anybody knows who that is. I'm looking forward to it. Craig is so much of a passion for our community and the zeal that he has, and so I'm looking forward to him coming and sharing.
Highly religious individual.
Definitely. We have very similar passions, and so very excited for what God is laying on his heart and to come and share with us. So today's the first day that you could make the purchase of your
does that mean
ticket.
because Craig is there, we have to listen to Hobson less?
Maybe. Oh, that's another great relationship that we have.
Bill Hobson is a unique individual, ladies and gentlemen. You hear him with his golf show, but he has been involved with producing the Radiothon and raising money for the missions for a long time. His wife's involved too, isn't she?
She is. She helps us in our donor program, and any of the videos that you see that we release, Bill has produced those. So
yes, as I well know. So it's you think about it, and from the time I first heard about the missions to what it is today, I shake my head. First of all, how you do it. It's continuous. I mean, you must not sleep.
I definitely sleep, but it's definitely because of the valuable relationships and some of the ones that we mentioned. But there was over 18,000 volunteer hours last year, and the donors that happen, and every part makes the huge difference. It's a part of that network of care, all interwoven together. And so today is about talking about the match, and hopefully some will respond to that. But it's everybody doing what they can. And that is what has allowed us to sustain operations for 120 years.
Well, let us end where else but telling people how they can donate.
Go to our website. The easiest way is the website. It can be done within seconds, rescuemidmichigan.org. Or you can put a check in the mail or call 989-755-HOPE 4673.
All right, Dan, we'll get updates. 2 weeks, folks. Your money doubles. Give them a call. Make that pledge today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Dan Streeter from the Rescue Ministries of Mid-Michigan. We're going to take a break now for news, and then we'll be back with Focus, and we'll learn about Trinity Lutheran School. All of that coming up after these notes.
Planning your next getaway.